Hi, I'm Fallon McIntosh.
And I'm medalist Scott.
And we're from Sydney, Cape Breton, also known as Unama'ki. And it's a small town of Cape Breton Island surrounded by the ocean and has the most beautiful views in the world.
We both play hockey for the Cape Breton Blizzard. We're really proud to be past winners of Craft Hockeyville and to have Cape Breton University as the first ever home for female hockey.
Cape Breton is also home to some of the best golf courses in the world, like Cabot Links in the Highlands.
And if you're into history, you've got to visit iconic places like the Fortress of Louisbourg or Goat Island to experience Mi'kmaq culture and history.
Music is also a huge part of our identity, especially Celtic music and step dancing. Sydney is home to the Big Fiddle, the biggest fiddle in the world, which celebrates the musical heritage and sits proudly on the waterfront. We both play in our school band from at Whitney Peter Memorial. I'm a baritone and Bella plays percussion.
There's always something to do here. Hiking, beaches, or driving the Cabot Trail. And even though we're a small community, it's packed with pride, culture, and some of the kindest people you'll ever meet.
Our listeners may be wondering why we started Pass the Puck. I want to share an experience I just recently had in September. I went to Canadian Jumpstart's Play to Lead program, which is a leadership program for girls and young women in sports. It's all about building leadership skills, setting goals, learning to communicate, and supporting each other. The summit was in Halifax. Girls aged from 13 to 17 from all different sports were there. From Friday to Sunday, we learned and went to different sessions about communication, goal setting, mental health, and self-care. We also went to Tennis Nova Scotia, and we got to try out wheelchair tennis one of the days. One of our guest speakers that were there that night was Paige Crozon, who had just come back from the Paris Olympics for 3-on-3 basketball. Our other guest speaker who was there was Shireen Ahmed, sports journalist and advocate for women in sports. Marco from Play to Lead even announced a scholarship in Shireen's name. I stayed at a hotel for 2 nights in Halifax. We also got swag bag, Nike shoes, and we went to go shopping one of the days. Play to Lead staff were awesome. Thank you, Anna, Kelly, and Kim. The Play to Lead connects to the podcast because we had to start a project to help our community. Sydney is still so far away from professional sports, and it can feel totally out of reach. For my project, I wanted to create something that brings the stories of women athlete, coaches, and people working in sports career closer together to you and me. The guests will share their tips, lessons, and experiences in a way that inspires us and helps us learn. I'm so excited about the show we're creating and the amazing guests we've lined up. Thank you, Maybella, for joining me as a co-host. We're going to hear from some of the best in the business, on and off the ice, and I can't wait to get started.
And that brings us to our first guest of the show. Without this person, you and I will not be sitting here today. She was the first person we invited to the show, was the first person to respond, so it only makes sense that we kick off with this amazing journey with a true GOAT of Canadian hockey, Cassie Campbell-Pascall.
She's a total legend in hockey. She was the captain of Team Canada that helped win not 1, but 2 Olympic gold medals and a silver. She's also the only captain, male or female, to lead Canada to back-to-back Olympic golds. On top of that, Cassie has won 6 World Championship golds and now works as a broadcaster, inspiring people everywhere. Cassie, it's such an honor to have you here today.
Well, I'm excited, Fallon and Maybella, to be the first show. I didn't know that. So, wow, here we go. I hope you guys continue your broadcasting career for a long time.
Yeah, thank you.
So we're going to start off with some icebreaker questions. What was your favorite hockey memory growing up?
My favorite hockey memory growing up, I actually started playing hockey in the United States. A lot of people don't know that. And my dad was transferred there for work, and had he not been transferred back to Canada, who knows, maybe I'd be playing for Team USA. But I think my favorite memory was, the tournaments we used to go to as kids. There was one in particular in Peterborough, Ontario, and they had the best swimming pool. They had like an indoor swimming pool, and then you swam under this little bridge and you were outside in the swimming pool. And, back then we used to be able to play mini sticks in the hall, and we went to that Peterborough tournament every single year, and it was just so much fun. And I don't even remember if we ever won it. I think we did, just because we went so many times, but I don't remember the scores. I don't remember if we won. I don't remember if we lost. I just remember the memories in the hotel and having so much fun with my teammates.
Well, do you want to hear
somewhere.
about my PEI tournament experience with the hotel?
Why not? Yeah.
Well, one of my teammates actually got a suite because her whole family went up, and we all we snuck around the hallway with our mini sticks just so we could go play mini sticks in her hotel suite.
That's good. That's a good teammate
Oh
to
my God.
have, right?
Yeah. Where
That's
were we
awesome.
at? What hotel were we at again? Summerside. We were there. It was really weird. It was like a triangle almost. It was like a house.
Yeah. Well, PEI is very important to me. I have a cottage on PEI, and that's where my father grew up, and where I spent my summers with my grandma and my aunts and uncles and my cousin. Um, and my family owns the Anne of Green Gables Museum in Park Corner.
What?
So I go to PEI almost every summer. Yep.
Oh, PA is beautiful.
It is beautiful. It
That's
is.
really cool.
Yeah.
What is your favorite pregame meal or snack?
Well, I'm not gonna lie, I love pizza, but I didn't necessarily eat that pregame. Back in the day for us, it was often chicken and rice and broccoli. That was sort of the go-to, and I probably ate that 9 out of 10 games before games, and sometimes after as well. So I would say chicken, rice, and broccoli is my favorite pregame meal.
Always.
Yeah, Mabella. I know
That's a
that
good
you don't.
combo.
I know that you don't like pizza. I'm not pizza note there.
How can you not like pizza, Mabella?
I don't know.
I know.
Yeah.
It just kind of happens.
I almost forgot.
Okay.
I said we should have
We
gotten a Tim
forgive
Hortons
you. We
pizza.
forgive you.
Yeah.
Okay, so
Sad time.
if we looked inside your hockey bag, what's the most unexpected thing we find?
An interesting story about my hockey bag. I haven't actually played hockey for, seriously for over 20 years. And I really just have a coach's bag now with skates and, shin pads and a helmet and gloves and that kind of thing. I got some parachutes in there. But when I retired, I put my hockey bag in the garage, and it was right after the last Olympics in February of 2006. And I didn't open my bag for a year, which was a big mistake because obviously it smelled and stunk. And at that point, I think things were growing in it. But, when I opened it, I realized that I'd put a bunch of Olympic memorabilia in there as well. And so opening it for the first time in a year, it was part disgusting and part really cool because it, brought back memories from a year earlier. And I had, some great keepsakes that came out of that bag and made it through the year of sitting in my garage. And, I actually don't have a full set of equipment right now. So I'm heading to a PWHL fantasy camp soon, and I'm definitely going to be bugging, my friends at CCM for a set so that I can go on the ice and play. But I just have a coach's bag at this point.
Well, I mean, Shinny's good too.
Yeah, Shinny's good too, 100%.
If the PWHL were to expand, what city and what would you name the team?
Oh boy, I think we're going to have expansion sooner than maybe we anticipated when we first started the PWHL last year. But as to when that's going to happen, those decisions are made above me. I'm just a special advisor. But, I think, places like Pittsburgh, Chicago, we've had games in Detroit, we've had games in Vancouver, Seattle, Denver. I think every time we've gone for an offsite game, they've done a tremendous job in supporting the game, and we've had tremendous crowds. So I would probably pick one of those cities where we've had a game before if I was going to think expansion. What would the name be? I haven't thought about this one, but I'm going to say something along the line of Tigers. Yeah, wherever it is, the Tigers, something Tigers, Unless it's in Detroit, we couldn't call it Detroit Tigers because that's the baseball team. But I don't know. I think we're due for like an animal name on the jerseys, I think we're due for that. Yeah. Yeah.
So, have you always worn the C on your jersey?
Wow. I'd have to think about that. I think pretty much throughout my childhood. Sometimes I was an assistant. I think early when I first started, I often played with older players, so I didn't have a letter on my jersey if I remember correctly. But yeah, I think growing up I was always sort of an assistant or a captain, and being a captain on the national team, you're just pinching yourself because that the 19 other players, even our goalies, could have been captains. We had just I had tremendous teammates and we had tremendous teams, and so I was fortunate to be captain a lot. And that doesn't always necessarily mean that I have to stop learning about leadership. I think, every good captain continues to learn about leadership on a regular basis. And, you're just fortunate to wear the C amongst great teammates. And it's a great honor, but it's also a big responsibility, and one that I had a lot of fun with over the years. But I also relied on my other teammates to be leaders as well. And they were equally as great leaders as I guess I was wearing the C. I was just fortunate to have really good teammates around me.
Yeah. Wearing the C is a big responsibility.
Yeah. Do you guys wear the C? Any of you?
No, I don't wear
No?
anything.
Nah, I'm just...
You have responsibility of this podcast. That's
Yeah.
good
Yeah.
enough.
My
Right?
big
That's big enough.
responsibility.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's good. That's good.
If we asked your daughter Brooke, what advice would your mom give to you, and what would she say?
I think, we talk a lot on the way home, sometimes more than other times, but I kind of let her lead the conversation. And I think anytime she gets frustrated with maybe her play, or how much she's getting played, or whatever, I always tell her, prove people wrong, prove the coaches wrong, earn your ice time. And I think that's life, as you grow up and you become successful at things, people just try to bring you down. And even playing on the national team, I was, a star on my club team, all of us were, and then we had to play different roles on the national team. And so my goal was just to prove my coach wrong, that I deserved to be up the lineup. And I tried to approach it that way. So I think that's what I would tell her, is play any role that's given to you and earn your ice time. And if you don't like what's going on in a certain situation, then prove your coaches wrong. And I think that's what she would tell you.
This part of the show is now called From Player to Pro, and is where we spotlight a teen athlete, and they get the chance to ask a question for our guest, the pro.
Today, from our home organization, we have Emily Harridge. Emily wants to ask, what, if anything, would you go back and tell your 13-year-old self pursuing hockey?
Ooh, well, when I was 13, we didn't know we could go to the Olympics or a world championship. We just didn't have those opportunities set in stone yet. So for me, I played a lot of sports, and I'm so thankful that I did. I played soccer competitively, and I played basketball in high school and competitively at high school. And I think that's the big thing for me. If I was, to continue to go back and talk to my 13-year-old self, is just continue to play other sports, and not just limit yourself to one sport, which is a little bit more difficult these days, as we tend to go to the elite levels rather early compared to when I went. So, but I would play other sports, especially in the summer. If you're playing hockey in the winter, play other sports in the summer. I think it's really good for your body and your mind, and meeting new friends. And so I'd go back and tell my 13-year-old self to continue to play other sports than just hockey. Yeah, you guys play other sports?
Yeah.
I don't really.
I do.
Tennis? I guess I played
That's
tennis
okay.
one summer.
Well, maybe now you will, right?
Yeah,
Or
maybe
you'll
I'll go
try.
back. I'm not very good
Yeah.
at it, though.
Yeah.
Not great at tennis.
Emily has a second question. What is one of your favorite memories of a teammate during your time playing hockey?
Oh, Emily, one of my favorite teammates was Vicky Sanahara, and she was just so funny. And we used to have boot camps all the time prior to our Olympic centralization years, where we'd go and train somewhere for 3 weeks. And there was one time that we were training on bikes, and she was riding a bike, and a squirrel came by, and it got stuck in the spokes of her bike. And of course, it happens to the funniest player on the team. And unfortunately, the squirrel didn't make it, but just her reaction to the whole situation and trying to get the squirrel out of her bike spokes to continue on with training, it was quite the process. And rest in peace to the squirrel. But it was just a really funny thing that happened, and it made us laugh in a situation where we were all grinding it out and training so hard. And as much as we didn't want anything to happen to the squirrel, it was just odd that it happened to Vicky, and just how she handled it, and how she tried to make it a funniest situation as possible, and then get right back on her bike and continue to train. So that was a pretty funny moment within our group.
Oh, my.
That's quite a story.
Oh, my.
Thank you, Cassie. We are now going to shift our focus and questions to inspiring leaders in sport.
Cassie, you're the captain of Team Canada for so many iconic moments. Can you tell us what leadership meant to you in those moments?
I think for me, just relying on teammates to help me with my leadership, and, working as hard as I can and trying to lead by example. And, sometimes as a leader, you have to say hard things, and, you have to be truthful. And at the same time, you have to allow teammates to be truthful to you. So, just the ability, I think, that our group had pushing each other and challenging each other while at the same time maintaining great friendships, I think was really key. And, for me, just to be captain of Team Canada, it's not something I ever dreamt of. I didn't even know I could play for Team Canada, let alone be the captain. So, it's a moment when the coaches gave it to me that I'll cherish and I'll be thankful for. But I also understood, at the time, just how important my teammates were and how great of a leadership group that we had, in total.
Were there any moments when you doubted yourself as a leader? How did you push through it?
Yeah, 100%. I probably look back to 2002 Olympic year, and we won the gold. Everyone remembers in our country how we won the gold medal at the Olympics, but they sometimes forget that we lost the 8 games before that against the United States. And, we couldn't find a way to beat them, and they were such a talented team, and they had, a great leader as well in Cami Granado. So they had our number, and, when we were losing, it was just kind of tough to keep everybody together. And, for me, myself, as the captain, I blamed myself. I thought, what am I doing wrong? How can I make this work? How can I change things? And, I just took a lot of the responsibility for the losses on my shoulders. And, I remember talking to my husband, who was my boyfriend at the time, and I, telling him how disappointed I was. And he just said, hey, what a story this is going to be. And he said, you guys have lost 8 in a row, but you're going to win the gold medal game. And that piece of advice, you rely on people that care about you and that are important to you, and you care about their perspectives. And that perspective was exactly what I needed. And I just remember going back, and my roommate was Cheryl Pounder at the time. And I just said, Pounds, what a story this is going to be, what a story this was going to be. And I think just turning sort of a negative situation into something positive is always challenging at times, especially when you're right in the moment. But I think helping to lead that group through 8 losses in a row to eventually win the gold medal was probably my hardest, time going through hockey as a leader, but also probably the most amazing as well.
As someone who paved the way for women's hockey, what challenges did you face and how did you tackle them?
Well, I think for me, there's so many names, the Shirley Camerons, the Sue Shears, the Margot Pages, the Angela James, and France St. Louise, players that came before me that, really started paving the way. And, I just kind of learned from them and how they approached the game and how professional they were and what was sometimes not necessarily a professional setting. So, I think we all wanted a professional league. I think that was the hardest thing for me, was sort of being patient for the professional league to come, but at the same time stepping away and allowing the younger players, the current generation of players, to really push that through. I think, that was really important for me to sort of not be the voice. And but that, definitely was a hard time trying to push that league through and get it to where we are today with the PWHL. And this league, sits on the backs of so many great players that played before me. And but I remember, being your age and walking into an arena and you'd hear the snickers, oh, girls can't play hockey, she shouldn't be here, why does she play with the boys, all the negativity. And I think I just stored those memories in the back of my brain, and they became sort of my motivation as I pushed forward to eventually play for the national team. I just loved the game so much that I didn't want to give it up. And lo and behold, I got to go to the Canada Winter Games when I was 16 in PEI. We were talking about PEI earlier. And then, getting an opportunity to go to my first World Championships in 94 and then my first Olympics in 98. So had I listened to those naysayers and not played, all these great opportunities wouldn't have come my way. So, sure, there were some tough times, but I also think those tough times made myself and my teammates and all those people that paved the way before me stronger, and made us, more motivated to get where we are today. Don't forget me. Don't forget me.
Sorry.
We won't.
When you make it big.
I'll never forget you. Was it my question next? I got 2 in a row. Yay!
The PWHL was a long time coming. How did you work as a team to make this dream a reality for so many?
Well, I think the current generation of players, their ability to stick together through 4 years of not really playing in a traditional league, I think, that courage and the strength to to last for 4 years, I think, that's the group that really deserves a ton of credit. And, my teammate, who's the senior vice president of hockey operations of the league, Jana Hefford, she was, when the Canadian Women's Hockey League folded, she really stepped up in a big way. And, we have such a great business staff led by Amy Shear, and, our hockey ops staff. We've got Chris Burkett and Alexis Miller and Burton Lee and Annie Cammons, and, the list goes on and on. Kristen Richards, who's a former player, and I don't want to miss any names, so, I hope I didn't, but I think there's just such a great group of staff behind the scenes, whether it's the team staff or the league staff. Before we used to do it with one staff member and then a whole bunch of volunteers. And now we have over 120 staff league wide, and it's really made the difference. And I think everyone just being willing to do whatever it takes behind the scenes. And, no one needs a particular role. No one needs to be forefront. I think as a group, everyone's just doing things together and getting the job done behind the scenes. And we have a long way to go. We've had some early success. There's no question about it. But I think we need to continue to push forward and continue to make the product better, to continue to get better at marketing and our business side and our hockey ops side. And, hopefully down the road we can have some expansion. But we need to continue to build and to continue to give girls like yourself an opportunity to play.
You've been a role model for so many people. Who were your biggest role models growing up?
Well, I think my parents, both my parents were hardworking people. They both had their own businesses, and, they were great people to look up to. My older brother, Jeff, I wanted to be just like him. He played hockey, and I wanted to be just like him. From a hockey perspective, my favorite player was Paul Coffey, who predominantly played and is known for playing for the Edmonton Oilers. And he was one of my favorite players, and the reason why I wore 77 and 7 like he did. And I was a defenseman too for a large part of my career. Sue Shear was, the first ever captain for Team Canada at the 1990 World Championship. And she also was my coach at the University of Guelph, and a big reason why I was able to make my first World Championship in 1994. I got to play with a legend in France St. Louis, Stacey Wilson, Angela James. The list goes on and on of the great players that I got to play with, in my first World Championship. And, I even go back to players that I played against in my club teams, or with, and Carol Cooper and Kelly Weaver. Heather Ginzel played on the national team, and I also got to play with her in Mississauga, which was really important to me. I was lucky that I think I had a lot of great leaders and a lot of great role models around me to sort of help me navigate through the game. And yeah, there's a long list of people, but those are probably the pretty prominent ones for me.
Well, what importance does mentorship play to ensure we keep growing the sport?
I think it's huge. I mean, you guys are from Nova Scotia, right?
Yeah.
So, who are your favorite players? Blair Turnbull, Jill Saulnier, and, the list goes on and on. Players from Nova Scotia. But I think the fact that those names and what they continue to give back to their provinces and their hometowns and hockey schools and being there and representing Canada, but also representing where they're from. And I know they're great mentors to all of you guys and everyone across the country for that matter. But I think it's key. I think for young girls your age to be able to see your mentors on TV, to see them push through adversity, to see that they came from small towns or big cities or whatever the case may be and made it to the PWHL or made it to the national women's team, it makes young people believe they can do it too. And so that's what mentorship brings. It brings great examples of things you can aspire to be, and role models that you can look and try to be like them, which is really important. And I think it's oversaid, but if you see it, then you can be it. And that's what the PWHL is doing, and all the players who play in it and all the staff and all the coaches and the behind the scenes people are trying to make this league for the best it possibly can be for kids your age, that it's going to last for a lifetime, and it's not just going to be here for 3 or 4 years like we've seen other leagues in the past.
I went to Jill and Blair's camp. It was really great. I had a really fun time there. And
Good.
on the final day, we did a meet and greet, and they were telling us about what happened to them when they were growing up and their hockey careers, and they also gave really important messages that day about just playing hockey and loving hockey.
That's awesome. Yeah. Do you know I met Blair and Jill playing in the 2004 World Championships in Halifax, and I met them, and they were probably about your age, and they came to watch us play. So I got to meet them at that time, and then, obviously continue on to know them to this day. So I think that, that's sort of an interesting story in the sense that they watched our 2004 team and then became part of Team Canada themselves. And they were the first two players from Nova Scotia. I think Jill was first and then Blair to make Team Canada. So that was something that I know the province was proud of, and I know they were proud too.
Yeah, well, sort of ironic thing. I'm going to the rivalry series in Halifax on February.
Wow. Oh, that's great. That'll be fun. And then they're playing PEI as well. So that'll be really exciting. Yeah. Good.
I actually played at that rink when we were at that tournament. We played at that rink.
Oh,
really
neat.
good place.
Yeah.
Yeah. Kind of cool.
So, what's one piece of advice you've received from a mentor that you still carry on with you today?
I heard this, I read this actually in a book, and I have it up in my office, and it says, if you don't want to be criticized, it's a quote, if you don't want to be criticized, say nothing, do nothing, and be nothing. And I think, especially when you play hockey in front of people and on TV and those types of things, or, when I was a broadcaster for Hockey Night in Canada and you're the first female to do certain roles, there's often criticism that comes with that. And so that someone said that to me, and I immediately loved it because I thought, what, sure, I could I could be disappointed in the criticism and get myself feeling negative about it, or I can just kind of let it be and just learn from it and move forward. And so that's one of my favorite quotes, and it's something that helps me get through some of the tough times, especially that we face on social media. And so that's been a big inspiration for me.
Oh, yeah. Have you heard about our rink? We're going to have the first home ice for girls hockey and women's hockey.
Oh, wow.
Yeah.
Where's that?
It's at Cape Breton University.
Oh, wow. Okay. Yeah. That's great.
How would you have felt if you had a rink like us?
Yeah, amazing. I remember I played in this rink in my hometown, Brampton, Ontario, called Rosalie Arena. And I played every Sunday morning at 7:15. And it was the coldest arena of all time, I'm sure of it. And my parents, of course, drove me there and would be in the stands. And I remember it was almost like we were getting ready in the dressing room, but we were outside in the middle of winter. It was so cold. But we were just so excited to be able to play. And that arena has since been torn down in my hometown because it was that old. And but the arenas now that we have are, the access that young girls are getting in all the arenas across the country has just become huge, and it's an important thing to give everybody access to the game. And so it's good on your town there to make sure you guys have an arena to play in. Good for them.
We're actually have just finished our segment, so we're going on to a new one.
All right, let's do it.
And this segment, Pro to Pro, we ask our featured guest to ask question to an upcoming guest.
We would love for you to leave us a question to ask Sarah Fillier, Blair Turnbull, and Jill Saunier on your behalf.
Blair, I know you're an assistant captain on Team Canada, but what does it mean to have been named captain for the Toronto PWHL team? Jill, you started your career with the New York Sirens, and then you were traded to the Boston Fleet. What was that process like for you while playing for the PWHL? So Jill and Blair, this question is for both of you. Can you tell the most funniest story that you two have had being teammates when you were growing up?
That's a good question.
How's that? That's good. Hey?
That's really good. Okay. Yeah.
All right.
We're going to do a rapid fire round of questions.
Okay.
What is your favorite hockey moment of your career?
My favorite hockey moment of my career, I have two. Winning the Ontario Championship for the University of Guelph in 1995, way before you guys were born. And also winning gold at the Olympics in 2002 with Team Canada.
That's pretty reasonable.
Yeah.
Who is your most memorable teammate?
Oh, I had so many memorable teammates. At the University of Guelph, it was Sarah Applegarth, Patty Austin, Leslie Zimmer. The list goes on and on there. Helen Knowles. I think on the national team, some of my favorite teammates, Vicky Sanahara, Jana Hefford, Becky Keller, Cheryl Pounder. They all were pretty good, but I think if you're asking me my favorite ones, those would probably be the names.
Can you introduce this to Gina Hefford? Wink, wink, wink. I'll ask you a
Wink,
question
wink,
there.
wink. I probably could. Yeah,
Wink, wink,
I
wink.
probably
Thanks.
could. Yeah.
Where is the favorite place you've traveled for hockey?
Ooh, that's a good question. I think my favorite place. I didn't necessarily play hockey, but I was part of hockey ops. They called it. I got to go to Afghanistan. I got to go to Croatia, Bosnia, and Afghanistan, and Dubai. And I went to go visit our troops in what was the first ever hockey ops visit to our troops overseas there. And obviously there was a war going on, in particular in Afghanistan at that time. And it was, yeah, it was just a really neat experience to see those countries, and also just to get an opportunity to meet some of our soldiers. And in fact, I met a few soldiers, but one of them was Darlene Mackey, and she's actually from Nova Scotia. And I ended up bringing her and some friends to the World Championships in 2004 in Halifax. And she was my sort of guide, if you will. She was the soldier that stayed with me the whole time when I was at all of these places. So that was pretty cool.
Well, I just found out now. We do know her. We know her.
Oh, wow, that's cool. Yeah, small world.
So, my dad's a golf pro at Wingate Golf Course, and I'm assuming Darlene is a member there.
Oh, wow. Well, make sure you tell her I said hello.
She golfs with my mom here, who's right here.
Yeah, we play in tournaments together all the time.
Oh my god.
Yeah, she's a great guitar player.
That's great. Well, tell her I said hello, and I also am going to hit you up when I come there to get your dad to get me some free golf. Is that right?
Yep, absolutely.
Okay. Okay, good.
She come visit me again.
Yeah, great.
Who would be your dream player to have on your line, past or present?
Well, I think I got to give you my whole lineup. So I would play left wing. I would put Marie-Philippe Poulin at center. I would put Jana Hefford on right wing. I would put Geraldine Heaney and Dawn McGuire on the back end. And I would pick Kim St. Pierre as my goalie.
I love Kim St. Pierre. I met her at the Halifax Summit for Play to Lead.
Oh, wow. That's awesome.
Yeah.
Yeah, she's a great person.
Cough, cough. Wisp, wisp, wisp. She's going to be a guest.
Yes.
Might be a hint.
Wink, wink, you know?
Yeah.
Wink, wink.
Wink, wink,
Yeah.
wink.
Yeah.
Thank you, Cassie. It was a great time having you here. Is there anything you want to talk about right now or anything?
No, thanks so much for having me, and I'm honored to be your first ever episode. And when you guys make it big, don't forget us little people, okay? And stay humble and keep doing a great job.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Don't forget about us, too.
I won't.
Thank you.
All right, all the best, you guys. Thanks for having me.
Thank you.
So that was really cool.
I know. I missed her already.
Yeah. One thing I felt stand out from that interview was the quote, to avoid criticism, to say nothing, be nothing, do nothing.
Yeah. I also liked how she said how she had a really big responsibility during one of her years at the Olympics, how they lost 8 times against the U.S., but then came back to win the gold medal.
Yeah.
And that put a lot of pressure on her shoulders.
For sure. Imagine she played for the U.S. national team and not the Canadian one.
Oh, my. We would lose such a great part of our Canada hockey history.
Yeah.
We'd have those back-to-back Olympic gold medals there.
Really cool how she comes to PEI every summer.
Oh, my God, I know. PEI is a beautiful place. We'll go there during the summer and we'll meet her at the beach.
That's a great
We'll go.
idea.
We'll go golfing, too.
Yup.
Do you know how to
Cook
golf?
at golf.
Do you know how to golf?
Not really.
Yeah, I also liked how she talked about the really cold rinks.
Oh, it just reminded me of the pier right away.
Oh, my.
So cold.
It's freezing there. The heater's, like, broken there or something. Oh, my.
Doesn't circulate very well.
No.
The mini sticks in the hallways.
Oh, my God, the mini sticks in the suite. Yeah. Too bad. People ruin mini sticks. I wish I could have played mini sticks.
I don't know why the hotels hate it so much.
I know.
They should really be more
They should
accepting.
unban it. I miss mini sticks.
Yeah.
I have to play mini sticks at my own house. Lame. One of the main things to take away from our episode today was you don't always need to wear the letter on your jersey to show that you're a good leader. Some of the points of being a leader is motivating your team and giving them the inspiration and being the best player you can be on and off the ice.
Having a good work ethic and having good communication could mean having tough conversations.
Thank you guys for watching our first ever episode of Pass the Puck podcast. May have been messy, but thank you guys for coming.
Make
and
sure to
listening.
tune in next time.